So I've tried to record this video like 4 times now, and it's not the kind of video that needs a white backdrop. It's not one that requires me to sit down in a formal setting. It's more of a chat, and I think that's how I'm going to approach this kind of format of video, with this like Q&A style. And I just didn't feel right. I sat down in my room, I tried to set up a backdrop, I tried to like get the lighting right, and I was just getting more and more frustrated. So I thought the best way to answer these kind of questions is to sit at the end of the garden with a nice beer and to just sort of have a little chat, have a conversation, and answer some of the questions that people have sent in. So I put out a list of video ideas and things that people might want to see answered, and the main response that I got was the question, do I just do street photography? And the answer is yes, but also no, and I want to explain the reason behind that. So I think the most important thing to address is the fact that I don't get paid to do street photography. It is entirely a personal endeavour, it's entirely self-funded. I don't make any money off YouTube, I don't make any money off actually going out and taking any pictures, and if I did, that would be more of a commission, and then that would actually turn into more documentary style, because you don't really get commissioned to take street photographs. There are other ways you can make money doing street photography, so you can sell prints and you can make books, you can do gallery exhibitions. There's different ways of raising money with street photography, but generally you don't get paid to go out and do it. So because street photography is my personal work, I just want to touch very briefly on the kind of client work I do and how I can actually take some skills from street photography and sort of translate that into paid client work. The main one being the ability to make imagery in an environment where you have so little control over all of the variables. Now, if you can actually create a really good image in that environment, then imagine what you're going to be able to do in a controlled environment where you have access to lighting, scenery, the kind of people you want to include in those photos, and that's what I like to apply. That's my sort of reasoning behind using street photography, almost like a gateway into creating really nice candid client work, and I'm going to touch on the word candid in a second. Another example of the kind of personal work that I do is actually I dabbled a little bit in like automotive photography, and I'm sort of putting that on hold for a short while, just because obviously what's going on, I haven't really got access to classic cars. That's why I like to photograph. I haven't got access to, well, I have got access to the countryside at the moment, but when I'm living up in London I don't. So that's a little bit of a spanner in the works, but when this is all over, when I've got a bit more free time and a little bit more cash, then I will chuck that out doing some more automotive photography, but for the time being I'm just doing street photography. I'm just making videos like this, and I'm really enjoying it so far. It's actually been a really nice sort of chance to step back and evaluate what I want to do going forward. You will have seen a couple of behind the scenes videos on my channel. The Alfetta GTV video, for instance, which was one of my favourite behind the scenes videos I've made. Production value, production quality wasn't huge, but the storyline behind that was really fun, and I'll explain that in a future video if anybody's interested. I'm gonna have a sip of this delicious beer. I also do a little bit of promo imagery for films. I work with a couple of producers and directors. My friend Noah, for example, I'll link his work down below. I've worked with him on multiple of his films to create promotional imagery and also behind the scenes imagery. So promo imagery revolves around creating images that can be used for his posters, his social media, etc, etc, and then behind the scenes is obviously behind the scenes. And that's another really interesting way that street photography plays into that, because I can take sort of the lessons that I learned when making candid images on the street, I can apply that to a behind the scenes settings and making sure that I'm getting like really nice candid imagery of people on set. And people appreciate that. People appreciate the sort of street photography approach to that kind of stuff, because you can get some really nice images that otherwise you wouldn't get if everybody was like posing or people were super aware of you taking imagery. You get some really nice genuine expressions, you can really capture the highs and the lows, and I like working with people who can be honest about that and show that, and if I capture it then they'll be willing to share it. So that's another really interesting way that I can apply street photography to personal work and also client work as well. So the paid client work that I do mainly revolves around social media content, and I'm going to make a whole video about content and that word content. A lot of people don't like the word content, they think it's quite throwaway, but I think it's a really interesting thing that's evolved and appeared in the last few years, especially with social media and social media advertising becoming so mainstream. So yeah, I'm going to make an entire video about that, and if you're interested in learning more about how I approach creating like candid environmental like authentic brand content, then leave a comment down below and I'll be sure to address that in a future video. So a huge part of my life has also been music and playing music, performing music, producing music, and I really like to apply my knowledge in that area to video production. Now, music and film have always gone hand in hand. You know, we all know who's composed the score for our favourite films. We know about the Hans Zimmers of the world, and how they collaborate with the filmmakers to create these amazing films that otherwise wouldn't exist if you didn't have the emotional response that music provokes. So my knowledge about the kind of emotions that music can provoke really helps when it comes to creating videos for clients. Mainly because I know what kind of things to apply and when to apply it. For example, I know that I'm not going to want to use banjo music or like rocky road music if I'm filming a like really classy cocktail scene. I'm going to want to use something that's like lounge jazz, lots of like major sevenths, make it really nice and classy. And on the flip side of that, I'm not going to film something for Ferrari or Red Bull and apply like classical music, because it's not really going to work. It might work in some contexts, but if you're talking about Ferraris absolutely ripping it around a circuit, then you're not going to want Mozart on in the background. You're going to want something quite upbeat, quite explosive. So that's a really interesting way that I like to apply my knowledge in the music industry to the kind of emotional response that I want people to get. And clients sometimes have their own sort of expectations of the music that they want to use. They sometimes have ideas, and if they have good trust in you and they have the understanding that you know what you're doing and they can see that in your work, then they'll be more likely to take on your suggestions. And then lastly, I actually have started a new podcast, and I'm going to make a whole video again on podcasting and how I produce my podcasts, and also the kind of people that I want to interview for this. It's called Conversations Over Coffee. I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to go check that out. I've really enjoyed making it. Unfortunately, this current situation has thrown everything under the bus a little bit, meaning that I can't really go and meet people to go and do these things. But I'm trying to get like remote ones working. I've done a couple, but it's quite technically challenging. So I'm going to work on that. For any future updates on that, be sure to follow me on Instagram. I'm at Sam V Holt, and yeah, I'll keep you updated as much as I can. I'm going to take another swig of this delicious beverage. Brewdog, if you want to sponsor the channel, please. So hopefully that answered that question of, do I just do street photography? I know I've thrown in a couple of things in there, we've gone on a few little tangents, but hopefully that's answered that question for you, and hopefully I've been able to share a little bit of advice, or maybe not advice, maybe just a little bit of applicable knowledge, where you can take things from street photography and apply it to client work and content creation. And I'd also be really interested to know what kind of music people like to listen to. I know some people like to listen to music whilst they're doing street photography, and I've never really done that, but it'd be really interesting to know what kind of things people are listening to. So leave a comment down below of what tracks you're listening to if you're doing street photography, and what kind of things you like to add into your client videos, and what kind of genres that you found work best in certain scenarios. I think it'd be a really cool topical conversation to open up in the comment section of this video. But I think I'm going to leave it here. This has been so nice just to sit down outside and not think about like the technicalities of making a video. Just sit down with the camera and just talk, and it's been a real refresher. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I've certainly enjoyed making it. I've certainly enjoyed drinking this wonderful beer, and yeah, I'm going to end the video here. Be sure to leave a like and a comment down below. Be sure to subscribe to this. Channel for future videos. Be sure to check me out on social media. I'm at Sam V Holt across all platforms. Also my website and my podcast. That's a very long plug. I'll leave all the details in the description for you down below. But apart from that, thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you in the next video.